Hello and welcome to the tutorial for the sewing pattern for the times table wheel. I do an embroidery file at the moment which has the times tables from 2 to 12 times, and I've been asked on several occasions if I could do a sewing pattern for those who don't have an embroidery machine. We print the tables or the discs onto fabric. There is instruction video on my YouTube channel for the directions how to print on fabrics. It's exactly the same as the instructions for printing onto fabric for the embroidered wheels. Plus we've printed out on card the template, 2 templates. We're going to cut around the external circle on one and the internal circle on the other. One where we're going to use as a template so we can mark a sewing line around our circle, and the second one will be for using as a template for cutting interfacing. Okay, so I'll just cut those out, apply some interfacing to the back of my fabric because the fabric I'm using at this moment is quite a lightweight fabric. I haven't had a chance to get to the shops to get something a bit thicker, but this will be okay for demonstration purposes. Here's the card that I've cut out. I've cut out the outside perimeter, the inside perimeter. On here I've marked I for interfacing, and on here for sewing, S for sewing line and V for vinyl. Here are the discs that have now been interfaced, ironed and interfaced and cut out. As you can see, it's a bit more stabler than it was before. We have the 2 times and the 3 times. Okay. We have one of each, one with numbers on, one without numbers. Originally I thought about putting the vinyl over the top and sandwiching it in between and sewing it together and then turning it, but I think that makes it a little bit difficult for turning. So now what I've decided is we're going to do it this way. We're going to turn these over now and we're going to mark on the back the sewing line. So to do that, what we're going to do is going to line up this circle in the middle so that we have an even seam allowance all the way around. And then with a pen, air erasable, iron erasable, use whatever you want to use. I'm going to use this green pen at the moment, and I'm going to draw around the circle on all of the sides so that we have a line as a sewing guide to stitch the items together. Here we have it, have the circle drawn around. Only on one side of the matching pair we have the 2 times there, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Doesn't matter which one you draw on, just draw on one. It's just to use as a sewing guide. I'm not very good at sewing circles and keeping them nice, so this just helps me to keep it right. And we've done the same on the back of the one of the 3s. Now the important thing is to make sure that you've got 2 of the same together. The 2 times with the numbers in and the 2 times with a blank, and not putting one of the others like a 3 or a 4 in its place. We have these 2, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put them on top of each other, just like this. Make sure the number 2 and the number 2 are up the same way. I think that looks better than having it reversed. And then with clips, we'll just gently clip. You can use clips or you can use pins. The choice is yours, whichever you're more comfortable with. Now we are going to leave a gap for opening for turn, so I suggest maybe from about here to here is plenty enough to turn. Okay, so leave a gap about 2 sections of the times table. Start here, we'll go around, finish here. Remember to back tack. Okay, so we're going to do that to both of these and then we'll come back to you. So here you can see we've stitched around the 2 discs, leaving a gap here and here. As you can see, even with the guideline, it's a little bit wobbly here, but it's not too bad, better than it would have been without the sewing line. Anybody have any tips on how to sew a perfect circle, please let me know, because I certainly can't achieve one. But so the next thing we need to do is we need to just clip these corners, because this is going to make it easier for turning. We're going to just snip up to the line. Be careful not to snip through your stitches. I'm going to go all the way around the circle, so make it easier for turning and for pressing. Well, the other thing, yeah, that's what we're going to do, all the way around. If you have pinking shears, this would be a good time to use them. The scissors that have the zigzaggy edges, those would be good. It would save a lot of time. There we go. I'm going to leave that there for now. Now we're going to turn it. Well, the other thing we can do before we turn it, just to get rid of some of this bulk, we're going to leave this here because that's the turning, because we need enough fabric for turning, but just trim this about half the distance all the way around. So it's about half a centimetre. The seam allowance is 1 centimetre, so if we just trim off a bit of this all the way around, it will make it not so bulky on the inside. Okay. Okay, now we're going to turn inside out. This is the piece I always find challenging, turning anything inside out. I don't have very good fingers, I don't get a very good grip with my fingers. Put our finger in and just push this out around the edges. Okay. Just make sure that these are lying nice and flat. If you have a pointer tool, you could use that to push up inside just to make sure these are nice. There. Just want to turn in. Oh, that's okay. That's nice there. Okay. So now we just need to turn in the edges. We have that line there as a guide. Turn the seam allowance in. Press this in. Okay. Try to make it fall nice here on this corner, on the corner there. Okay. So now that we have this, oops, okay, we can either lay the vinyl direct on top of here and do a top stitching which will go all the way around, which will close the opening, or we could hand stitch the opening closed, or we can use our template from earlier, this one, which will be roughly the size of there. I'm going to use this template and cut around the vinyl and then add that to the top. I took the wheels over to the iron and give them a press, turning in the bottoms as best I could. And then what I've done is I've cut out the vinyl in the circle. I've placed over the top and I've just held a couple of clips there to hold it in place. As you can see, it's not an exact match. My sewing was a little bit off on the inside, but I've just clipped it all the way around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. I'm going to do top stitch all the way around. If you've got a decorative stitch on your machine, and you're confident in sewing in circles with a decorative stitch, you could do a decorative stitch. The choice is up to you. Again, here's the 3 times, ironed, pressed, vinyl clipped in place. So I'm going to take that to the sewing machine, do the top stitching and come back. Okay, there we have it. Times table sewing project. I've trimmed around the vinyl, so that's around the circle now. We have the discs with the answers on. We have the blank side so that child can write the answers in these squares using a whiteboard marker and rub it off. I don't have a Teflon foot for the machine that I was sewing on, which I think is what's made this vinyl pucker a little bit there. As you can see, my sewing in a circle isn't brilliant. That's why I like to do things on the embroidery machine. I can do them in the hoop and they turn out perfect. But this is what we have. If you take more time and care and attention than I did, you should be able to get that turned in nicely. Maybe a smaller gap, rather than the 2, leave a smaller gap for turning, a 1.5. It folds out nicely. The only thing I would suggest, if you're going to press it after you've made it and turned it, if you've printed direct on fabric, that's not a problem. But if you're using the fabric transfer papers, do be careful. Put something over, a pressing cloth over the top, and then press it, because the transfer sheet will come off again. It's sticky. It will be it will melt under the heat of the iron. Okay, so there we have it. These are available, ready for purchase, along with a PDF file showing you how to put them together. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like the video, please hit the thumbs up button at the bottom and subscribe to my channel. Hopefully there'll be some more sewing pattern tutorials coming shortly, along with embroidery patterns and tutorials.